Hey everybody, it is qcknd and welcome back to Tattoo Talk Tuesday. So if it is your very first time joining us for Tattoo Talk Tuesday is our weekly interactive talk show where I like to take viewer submitted questions and try to lend my experience to you guys as a tattoo collector. I wanted to gather a little bit more user response and research for this question, but this is a question I've been thinking about for a little while, and it was actually in the user comment section of my previous video. So you can always leave questions in the comments if you want. I thought this was such a good question. And this is from Missy Brandwood, and this says, what is your opinion on having sexually explicit tattoos? Do people have a responsibility to cover them in a family-friendly place, i.e. Disney World? I was thinking about this the other day and was curious of your opinion. I don't have a lot of tattooed friends, so there isn't anyone I can bounce ideas off of. Love your stuff, always. Thank you so much. So I'm going to kind of attack this episode a couple different ways. I think that it is something that is based solely on opinion, and I can only represent the opinion, like, with my knowledge, I can only represent, an American opinion and someone who does live in a city. I'm going to talk about my opinion, and then I also have an interview with a tattoo artist. I reached out to her and she was really, really nice to explain how she feels about the situation and how she treats clients in this situation as well. In the last week, I've kind of been bouncing this idea off of my friends and stuff, and the general consensus I got from them is if you have a tattoo like that is of that nature, it's really nobody's business to talk to you about it. And for me personally, I have 2 tattoos that might fall under this category. I have a pretty large Playboy bunny tattoo, and then I also have a tattoo of a girl skinny dipping. In my mind, I never treated these tattoos as too sexually explicit, and I know that out there on the internet and stuff like that, you may have seen tattoos that are a lot more like not safe for work kind of category than mine. You know the tattoos. I've definitely seen them out there, and there are definitely artists who do them well, and there's definitely a clientele for these an audience for these tattoos. They are definitely in demand. So there are people out there who have these tattoos. In my experience, I am never bothered by the fact that I have like a skinny dipping tattoo, but it is fairly high up on my leg and only shows like one breast. I also have like a burning bra tattoo, but that's definitely like, I think all of us are pretty familiar with bras at this point in our life. No one's ever bothered me about it. I'm an adult who rarely finds myself in a situation where I am with children, but that's not to say that someone with tattoos couldn't pursue a career that involves a child so much. But when I was introduced with this question, like, I'm not somebody who would find myself at Disney World. I'm not someone who would find myself amongst a lot of children. I don't know, I thought this was really interesting and not anything I've ever been approached with. I would say out of my 2 tattoos, my Playboy bunny tattoo does get a lot of attention, more attention than I ever anticipated. A lot of tattoo collectors will get Playboy bunny tattoos, so when I'm in a situation like tattoo convention, or if I'm in New York, or if I'm around a lot of other tattooers, it's not really seen as anything other than a tattoo that most of us have. But outside of that, in the summer, I was stopped a lot. And not really was I stopped by tattooed people. I was often just stopped by maybe streetwear kind of kids, or just people waiting for the train, or people walking past me in the street. I think because it is an identifiable symbol, people can quickly pick it up because they recognize the shape as much as Mickey Mouse. And my other tattoos need another second to look at. So I think with my skinny dipping tattoo, even though in the summer it is visible and in a visible place, I would say that you need a couple seconds to register what it looks like. Whereas the Playboy bunny, all of us know what that looks like. All of us can probably draw it from memory. It's a symbol that's pretty widely known across the world. But most people don't really stop me negatively. They often just want to look at it. Maybe just once or twice a man approached me about it in a way that made me uncomfortable, which I guess I didn't really think of it before I got the tattoo, and now that I have the tattoo, it's something to think about. But other than that, that's my very limited experience. I remember a couple years ago, I was talking to this guy who had a pretty large pinup tattoo, and it was right on his arm, and I remember she was topless, but also bottomless too. And I remember the detail, it wasn't like a Barbie, like a little triangle detail, it was like kind of a full detail down there. And I remember every time we would talk, I would kind of like find myself looking at it. So I can say that in my experience, sometimes these tattoos can be distracting. And I think if you have one, you may learn that you have to be responsible for it, or you may go into it fully knowing that you were responsible for it. But I can say, like, I remember looking at that tattoo all the time, and I'm sure, like, all of us, you know, as tattoo collectors, sometimes you want to get a pinup to complete your collection, but right there on the arm, like smack dab, like wrist to elbow, butt naked lady, it is going to create attention for you. And as someone who is tattooed, who understands the culture, even I was like, that's a naked check. Not bothered, you know, just distracted. And as someone who owns a female naked body, I was still just like, she's naked! Like when you were a kid and the like Sailor Moon transformation scene, I was always just like, they're just gonna show her boobies on TV! It was kind of like that. My honest opinion of it though is, yeah, no one should be bothering you about your tattoos, and if you choose to get them, if you choose to get like a female form kind of tattoo, no one should really bother you about it. If you go to Disney World and someone bothers you about it, I guess be prepared to have a conversation just as you would any of your tattoos. Sometimes having tattoos in general, you might find yourself at Disney World or Carnival or something like that, and someone just might be offended in general. If you are prepared for that just in your everyday life, I can see being prepared to take it a step further if you have like a not safe for work kind of tattoo. If I was somewhere and someone was offended by the tattoos I have that are of that nature, not just a generic, I'm offended by your tattoos, if they were like, hey, that tattoo in specific maybe doesn't belong in this setting, I'm someone who is responsive to that. Like, I'm pretty accommodating, and like when I used to work at my coffee shop, I did wait to get my like big devil tattoo because I was afraid that it would offend somebody who worked at our coffee booth. So that is something I'm more like conscious of, but I'm not saying that that is law. I'm just saying that's how I feel. So even like being heavily tattooed, and because some of my tattoos are more scary, it is something I'm a little more aware of. But like I said, my tattoos like don't really delve into some of the tattoos I've seen online that are a lot more explicit. We have a friend in our friend group who does have a tattoo of, I think it's the Grim Reaper having sex with a woman, and it's pretty graphic, but his is on his upper thigh, and I only know about it. I've never even seen it. And like we all swim together and, you know, hang out in the summer, and I've still never seen it. It could just be a rumor, but I know him. It's not. So yeah, you can choose to get these tattoos just for yourself, but that is your choice. I'm not really someone who's super comfortable with imagery like that, so it's not really a conversation I've ever had with myself or another person until I was asked this question, which I thought was really cool. I'm definitely not bothered by like images of naked women. When I got my first, like when I got my skinny dipping tattoo, I was actually really excited and really like stoked to have it and have it on my body and feel really proud of it. I'm used to seeing naked women's bodies portrayed as art. So someone even said on Twitter, like, there's naked statues everywhere we go. And that's definitely true. Like, we're definitely used to seeing stuff like that. I've definitely wanted a tattoo of a statue before. So it's really true. I would say there's not really a problem with it kind of like that, on that like PG-13 kind of level, especially because we are all exposed to it. I recently had a conversation with somebody who was like, I was like, you've seen your mom naked, right? So I think all of us at this point are familiar with that, and it doesn't really bother me. Someone in the comment section said that they had a giant tattoo of a topless mermaid, and their family was like, are you gonna cover that at the beach? But topless mermaids, like, the beach that I would go to, there was like a mini golf place where like there was a woman on the front of the like fake boat topless. Like, we're kind of used to that imagery, and it's not really something I would find second nature to attack somebody about, especially with their tattoos. Like I said, you know, in the case with my friend who has that kind of graphic tattoo on their leg, I don't think that's a tattoo. Like if that was somewhere else, I do feel like I would find myself looking at it a lot. And like I said, I'm not super comfortable with those images, and I feel like expecting other people to be very comfortable with them as well is like, I don't want to say irresponsible. I don't want you guys to be like, Quicken is a prude and I always knew it. I just feel like all of us have the ability to get whatever they want tattooed on them. All of us have that freedom. However, there is an expectation of responsibility for the tattoos you get. Some tattoo artists will not try to talk you out of any tattoo you bring to them. But it is your responsibility as the person who wears that tattoo to understand like a public's response. So, like I said, with me personally, I didn't expect to get the responses I did about my Playboy Bunny tattoo just because it is a part of like tattoo culture. So when I would wear it by myself with no tattooed friends in situations without tattooers or other collectors around, and I was like, ugh, I don't really enjoy this response I'm getting. That's something that came afterwards that now I take full responsibility for. So I do think, you know, having a tattoo of maybe like nudity versus having a tattoo of like a sexual act is going to have a different response. In my opinion, you can do whatever you want, but I do feel like, you know, if you have a tattoo that the public doesn't like, I don't know, it's up to you to do what you feel is best. Do I feel like somebody like that has a responsibility to cover them up in Disneyland? I've never been there. I don't know the vibe. I don't know how many children are there. In my feed, I see a lot of my adult friends there hanging out all the time. But even me being tattooed, I feel like I might even wear leggings to Disneyland just to make sure everyone around me is having a pretty good time too. I am someone who's really kind of conscious of their footprint, not even talking about like environmentally, but like walking outside of the house. I try to make sure I'm doing well by other people. So that's the kind of mindset I would bring with me if I were to go to Disney World. I would just like, I wouldn't want to wear anything offensive. Even the hoodie I'm wearing today, I wouldn't wear to Disney World because it has like a patch on it that I feel like might be unsavory. So I do think I'm somebody who would cover up my Playboy Bunny tattoo at Disney World. That is a very personal belief though. That's just how I feel. If I were to have gone somewhere and somebody asked me to cover it up, I would 100% understand too. Like I said, I really like never want to make waves. I have a story where my little college boyfriend and I were at Friendly's and we were sitting across from each other, and like he was heavily modified and starting to get tattooed. I was heavily modified and starting to get tattooed. I believe I had all my facial piercings in at that time. And I remember we were there and a woman behind us she was there with 3 kids, and it was just her and 3 kids. And the kids kept turning around in the booth to look at us and then turning around, and they were getting a better visual of my ex because my back was to them. And actually a server came over and asked us like whatever we were talking about. They said that we were being very distracting. I've kind of always been as composed as I am, and him exactly so. So In my mind, I think about that story a lot, and I'm like, why didn't we freak out? Why didn't we like ask for a free meal? But him and I both worked at McDonald's, and we both felt sympathetic for the server, who clearly the woman complained about us. He didn't ask us to leave, he just asked us, you know, to chill out. And we didn't really do anything differently, but I think the woman asked to have us removed, and then he just came over to make peace. And in that instance, him and I were both like, sure, we're not sure what we're doing wrong. Whatever. That's exactly who I am, to like show you that I wouldn't freak out in a situation like that, because I've been in customer service for 100 years. I get it, but that is the impact, and that is what is happening outside socially. If I was asked in that situation to cover my body, like if we were wearing short sleeves and he asked us to cover up for the sake of the children, I do think it might be a good learning lesson for the mother to talk to her children about how sometimes people stretch their ears really big. A difficult conversation to have, perhaps, but like I said, I don't know what is expected of me in that situation. If we were asked to leave, I probably would have freaked out. And I do think about that all the time. We were just laughing, probably giggling, excited to eat whatever one thing on the menu could probably be served to us. So you may find yourself in situations like that. If I was asked to cover up my Playboy Bunny tattoo at fucking Friendly's because a lady didn't want her kids to see it, I don't know. Talk to your kids, that's hard, but if you're tired and you've been watching Just 3 Kids all day and you're an underpaid server and all you just need is one person to cooperate, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Probably just cover it up. So that is my experience. It seems a little long-winded and a little delicately put, but in my personal life, the only person I know who has a very sexually explicit tattoo got it for themselves and hasn't shown it to any of us. Me with a too big Playboy Bunny tattoo, I do feel the pushback and the curiosity, and I take it case by case. So honestly, dear, on Instagram, her name is Miss Nikki Tattoo. We've been mutuals for a little while, and she is somebody who is a tattoo artist who does a lot of the very cute stylized tattoos, a lot of reimagining of popular images, and then she does a lot of cute stuff too. I've been following her for a while, and I did see that she will have some more erotic tattoos, but they're always done in a very cute, approachable style. So I wanted to contact her because I felt like it was perfect to ask her the question as somebody who gives these tattoos in such an approachable style that I thought was really unique, and somebody who has been to places where children and stuff may be, Disneyland, other attractions in Japan and stuff. So I wanted to talk to her, and it was really nice. She actually gave me a pretty chill response on Instagram. I don't want to paraphrase it, I want to read it word for word. So she just said, "As an artist, I love tattooing people, but I will always inform my clients of what comes along with tattoos, especially first tattoos or say tattoos of the not safe for work variety. I think no one needs to censor themselves, but they need to be ready for the consequences that come along with them. Say, having an erotic tattoo in a highly visible place and going to Disneyland and it being visible, you may have to ready yourself for the awkward conversations you might have with parents of the children that are staring at your tattoos in line. I think my sort of work, where it's almost a cute erotica, is a little different than, say, abusive or in-your-face, not safe for work sort of tattoos. I feel like they are a little less noticeable and usually take a little bit of looking at to understand what's going on. I was talking with one of my clients about this, and she said if you wouldn't show your grandma the tattoo, maybe cover up in a public space such as Disneyland. And I like that sort of mindset, but it comes down to what you as a person are comfortable with. I feel like people who suffer from anxiety might make them more uncomfortable to be out, whereas others won't even give it a second thought. I honestly thought it'd be an easy answer, but it's so hard and individual to the tattoo and person in place. I hope this was some help. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So you can definitely check her out on Instagram. I posted some stills of some of the tattoos I was talking about, and I definitely understand how a tattoo being a lot more cute and stylized kind of gives it a softer approach. It's definitely case by case and not one that I can give a definitive answer to, so I would love to hear your comments down below. A lot of people wanted me to say that nudity is not the same as like an explicit image of sexuality, like an explicit image of like a sexual act, which is like what the question originally is about. And I do think that's case by case. A lot of us are comfortable with nudity and some of us aren't. So seeing a nude image for someone may be different than someone else. Some of us celebrate a naked body, whereas like not all of us are always in the mood to see one. Very case by case, very sensitive, but something I'm glad that came up. This video will definitely not be advertiser friendly, so definitely check out my other videos in the playlist down below. I make videos like this every single Tuesday. And don't forget to leave your submissions down below. This was a user submitted topic, and although it has created a lot of buzz on my Twitter, which you can head over to and add to the conversation as well, definitely one that was interesting to think about. Like I said, I've never really had this conversation with myself before. I know how it feels to have a giant Playboy bunny tattoo, and I do keep all of those feelings private until like right now. But it definitely does come with consequences. Some of them fine, some of them not what I expected. And then some of them are just like someone giving me a little nod. Nice. All of us have different levels of how open or closed we are with our sexuality. And because this topic is sexual in nature, it's going to come from many different aspects and angles and lifestyles, so please be respectful in the comments, because someone just might be coming from a completely different approach than you. As I said, my approach is somebody, you know, I don't have any experience with those images and they're not ones I really seek out or spend time with. But I follow people on Instagram who will post a picture of their breakfast and then they'll post a picture of themselves all tied up, and I'm like, cool. So, different strokes for different folks, freaking what they feel. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video because I think it's gonna have a little bit of a hard time. But these are definitely conversations that you guys are having, I wanna have too, and I wanna bring insight and I wanna host a conversation in the comments. So don't forget to check out my other videos and leave a like. You can subscribe if it's your first time here. I try to make tattoo videos every Tuesday, and I have a pretty hefty archive of tattoo videos in the playlist down below. Thank you guys so much. You can check out my Instagram at @QuietCoolKid and my Twitter. I'll have them linked down below. And until next Tuesday, I love you guys. Thanks, Nikki, and thanks everybody. Bye.